Greetings, Ben Murray here with another edition of SaaS Metrics School. Welcome. So, before we dive into the big assumption that you might be overlooking, let's meet live in person. I'm going to be at Nathan's SaaS Open in New York City in the first week of September. And then after that, heading to the other coast to SaaStr. So, attending SaaStr and attending and speaking at the first ever CFO Summit at SaaStr. So some great events coming up. Hope I see you there in person. So diving into today's episode and the big assumption that you might be overlooking in your CAC. So we know CAC, cost of customer or customer acquisition cost, is a ubiquitous SaaS metric. And a lot of these metrics seem so simple, but they have big nuances, big assumptions lurking in those spreadsheets that you don't see unless you're actually calculating those SaaS metrics for your company. So, first, CAC, there are actually two forms of CAC. One that we often overlook is what I call just gross CAC. So, those gross CAC expenses. So, we look at our SaaS P&L and we have sales and marketing isolated because we've done a great job of formatting our SaaS P&L and coding every single expense to the department level. And we have those gross CAC expenses sitting on our P&L. So sales and marketing. So perfect. We're in good shape. Remember, there's so much foundation that goes into that P&L prior to that to get a good number that just makes our life easier down the road. So we have gross CAC sitting on our P&L. Then we've got unit cost CAC. So that's what everybody thinks about, that unit cost to acquire a customer, a user, an account, whatever your prize is that you're after. So of course we know with CAC, this means we're going after new customers. We're trying to measure the cost to acquire new customers. Now, for early stage SaaS and we have just one product line, no expansion potential yet, then most likely 100% of your sales and marketing expenses are dedicated to new customer acquisition. So we flow all that into gross CAC and unit cost CAC, and then that feeds CAC payback, cost of ARR, LTV to CAC. So that's why that CAC foundation is so important to get right from the start. But as we progress, as we scale, we add new features, product lines. Now we have expansion potential. Maybe that's upsell potential, cross-sell potential within our existing customer base. Now, think about open up your SaaS P&L and you're looking at your SaaS P&L and those sales and marketing expenses. Now, those are commingled. We've got some effort dedicated towards new acquisition, some effort dedicated to expansion acquisition. So now we can't just take 100% of our sales and marketing expenses and push that through the CAC process. We've got to allocate sales. We've got to allocate marketing to new versus existing. And that is a huge assumption lurking in your spreadsheets. If you're a SaaS operator, or if you're doing due diligence on SaaS and looking at a target's CAC metrics, boy, you better ask about that assumption between new and existing because that can really mess up your CAC metrics. So with sales, we need to allocate between new and existing, and then a separate independent process allocating between new and existing in marketing. So we have to have a process in place for that. And we do that every month. We don't just assume that same number, especially as we're getting bigger. For above 10 million, I was calculating that split every single month so we can make sure our CAC is accurate because that feeds other CAC metrics, of course. And then we're presenting that to the board, to our investors, potential investors. We're pushing that out maybe in a due diligence process. So nothing makes a SaaS CFO sweat like others looking through your metrics and your numbers in due diligence and at the board level as well. So just wanted to push that out there because it seems like it's such a small thing, but it is a huge assumption that impacts pillar 5 of my SaaS metrics framework, which I'll be teaching a course on that upcoming here in September. So just check, make sure do you know how you're allocating between new and existing in your CAC metric?